Justin for Bob.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. I'll see what Justin will be seated for Bob Powell. Any additions or changes to the agenda, Paula?
None for me.
Okay. The minutes of May 24th, 2021. Any corrections, modifications from the commission? I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Larry, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye, or raise your hand, or both?
Aye.
Okay, that sounds unanimous. No negative, no dissent, no abstention, correct? Okay. Audience of citizens, is there anything anyone would like to bring up to us that isn't already on the agenda?
No, thank you. This is Ingrid.
Hi Ingrid, how are you?
Fine, thank
Thanks
you.
for being here. Let's see, at this point, we are going to continue the public hearing for a moment and then continue it to June 28th, 2021 for the 4-lot subdivision by Hop River LLC for an application for a subdivision on Hop River Road. Property address is 127 Route 6, Assessors Map 8, Lot 16A. So Paula, they are still working on their plans, correct?
Correct. And they hopefully will be ready for a site walk early next week. What is there a particular time or day that works better for folks?
Let's talk about that now.
Okay.
So next week being the week of the 21st, weekdays are the 21st through the 25th. I'm not available on the 22nd, but all other days are just fine, except I have a charter review meeting on the 24th. So if we're going to have one, I would assume it would be late in the afternoon. Would that be the best?
I would presume that's my next question for you folks. The time
Does
of
everyone
day.
feel that late in the afternoon, like just about at the end of your workday, would that make sense? We have plenty of daylight. Like, should we aim for 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m., even later?
Or earlier?
Or yeah, or earlier, please give me your pleasure. Any thoughts, suggestions from everybody?
5 is good.
What day,
Tom?
what day of the week are we talking about?
Not the 22nd.
That's a Tuesday.
Yeah, any day but the 22nd for me.
Oh, any day. Okay.
No, that with a site walk, it's good for everyone to go together, but
Yeah.
you don't need to. If it's just to go and look at, it'll be flagged. So you can go and look and see where it is, so that when you're coming back and sitting at the meeting, you have a visual of what, when he's pointing to a map, you understand where it is and what it looks like there.
Okay.
So it's helpful to go out. If you can't make it at the site walk, that's okay. If you can make it at another time, you can just go out.
So that being said, why don't we aim for, I'm just aiming at the same night of the week we normally have a meeting. Why don't we aim for Monday, the 21st at 5 p.m.? Does that work?
Sure. Yep.
Okay?
That's fine.
That work for you, Paula?
Yep, it does.
Okay.
What time are we making that? I have a 2:30 board meeting at WRTD. What time are you making it for?
5 p.m.?
That sounds good to me.
And we'll meet
I
at,
believe in 60-minute meetings, Tom. You should push that topic.
Yeah, well, not with WRTD. So we're doing 5 o'clock?
and we'll
Yeah.
meet at the site.
Is Joan and Ingrid available to come?
I am. This is Joan.
Ingrid?
Okay.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
I just
all
wanted
of
to
your
make
work
sure we
on
get
this,
their
the
input.
two of you. Okay. So I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing on this to June 28th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Do we need to make any motion with regard to the site walk? Paula?
No, we do not. We'll just
Okay.
post, we'll post it. We'll when we know the date, but I'll hold it till I hear back from Wes to make sure that he'll be ready on the 21st. If not, I'll
Okay.
get back to everybody.
That being said, do I have a second to the continuation?
Second,
I'll second.
That
I heard Vera
Uh,
first.
Vera, yes. Any discussion? So all those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
All right,
Any dissension, abstentions? That's unanimous. Thank you. No, there's no unfinished business this evening. For new business, we have a new item, 7.1 Valley Street Investments LLC, an application for regulation amendment to section 9 definitions, section 21.2.3.16 and section 52.7.5 for an event wedding facility or facilities where weddings or events shall take place. Set the public hearing date for July 26, 2021. So this is something that has come up at our meeting previously. I don't think we need to discuss this in much detail now unless somebody has some general questions about it, because it'll all be brought forward at the public hearing. Anything that you need to say about it, Paula?
No, I was just going to urge people to not discuss it at all tonight because
Yeah,
we
because
really
we're
shouldn't
public
until you're
hearing
into a
vote.
hearing. Yeah.
So I'm going to make a motion that we set the public hearing date for July 26, 2021. Is there any, can I get a second to that?
Second,
second.
Vera, again, thank you. Any discussion about this? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
All right,
Who's the
that
date again? I'm
unanimous?
Sorry.
Any dissension? Okay. So public hearing date is set. Next up, regulation reviews. Discussion on the subdivision regulation revisions.
I've been flat out with, I have on my list 12 different items that I'm addressing with different folks wanting, so many things that I'm doing right now are things that I've never had to think about before. So my brain has been pretty flat out on
Okay,
applications and things.
That's
I would like the commission to think about to move it forward a little faster. Maybe we can get a subcommittee together at some point to help that along.
I'd be happy to volunteer for that sort of subcommittee. Anybody else interested?
Am I eligible to volunteer as an alternate? Rick?
Absolutely.
what was the topic again?
Subdivision regulation revisions.
Oh,
I'll volunteer then.
Okay, Justin, why don't we keep it to 3 unless there's a strong desire on a 4th member?
Actually, a 4th member then makes it a meeting.
Okay, so we need to keep it to 3.
3. Yep.
Anyone
I don't-
else interested?
I might be able to help depending on the schedule, what day and what time.
Okay,
So put me down for maybe.
okay. Let's
the best I
say
could give you
definite
without a
unless
date
you
time.
tell us otherwise. How's that?
I'm sorry?
Let's say definite unless you say it doesn't work. How's that?
That's fine.
And let's potentially, I don't think there's a huge list of subdivision regulations necessary. I'm going to meet with Paula and get a list of her concerns and then get the 3 of us to either meet by Zoom or at town hall. Okay. So Justin, I appreciate your help.
No problem.
Great. Next up, 8.2, approve state legislature act affecting zoning, housing, and other requirements. Well, have you, all of you followed the progress of what this was? It was really about requiring
damn.
multifamily, whether our regulations permitted or not. Paula, was there a lot more to this than that?
Yeah, there was quite a few things. I've read it several times, and every time I read it, there's sections that I read a different way than I read the time before. So, and nobody has tested it or really written a lot of written some analysis of it yet. So But it's basically an act changing zoning and from a local level and taking some of that away from us. It's making accessory apartments mandatory. We already allow an accessory apartment. Requires training for land use officials. So Connie and I would have to have training, and also for planning and zoning members have to have training. That's 4 hours of training every other year, starting January 1st of 23. It won't be too hard. It's interesting to get some training, and it's very easy to get training online these days. Another change that they made is the minimum floor area for dwelling units, which a house is defined as a dwelling unit in addition to an apartment. The new law says it cannot be greater than the minimum floor area set forth in the applicable building, housing, or other code. Which
So
no code
basically-
sets it, but it looks like we right now we asked for, if it's a 1-story house, our minimum square footage, it's 1,000 square feet. It's a 2-story house, the minimum first floor is 750, and the minimum total is 1,250. From what I can figure out, that it's reducing this to about 350 as the minimum.
So allowing tiny houses, basically.
That's a pretty big tiny house from what you see on TV, but it's obviously pretty small house. But it would be a small living room, small bedroom, bathroom, and a kitchen area would fit in, which is what a lot of the.
Understand that those minimums don't preclude the minimums that a subdivision might impose as a covenant on a subdivision.
Correct.
That's a business decision that they get to make. And it's, I read some early drafts of these planned zoning changes with consternation, thinking, do we need the state of Connecticut telling us how to run our local zoning affairs in more detail? And my attitude was no, I don't feel we do. I think overtly, or not overtly, but the contention at the state level was that towns like Columbia, which are rural and we require septic systems, and we required larger lot sizes than more developed city type of environments, are inherently discriminatory, that prevents affordable housing. I haven't seen that to be the case, although it is more expensive to build in Columbia than if you have a sewer out front and 1/8 acre lot sizes. I mean, it just is. And we can't provide for that and still provide for a septic system. I'm glad they throttled back a lot of what they initially proposed. This is a watered down version of the bill. But it's still taking control away from our town. And I like that we've got a lot to say about our town. Any other thoughts? I don't want to get into this in a lot of detail.
And just a couple more points. One of the things they're looking for more affordable housing, and it's and the reason they pegged on the dwelling unit size is some of the towns that have virtually no affordable housing. There's one town that has 0.5% for affordable housing. Several have 1 or 2% affordable housing, and it's the towns that are the wealthier towns on the other side of the state. And so that's part of what they were doing, is just by their zoning and their minimum floor square footage for a dwelling unit is just driving others out. Columbia is at 4.25% affordable housing. So we're not as bad as some people think we are. By comparison, Wyndham is, I think, 28% affordable housing. But another
form of socialism, that's all.
A couple other points with this. One of the things that they specified is that you cannot deny an application because something doesn't fit the character of a district. We can't use the word character. So there's a couple places where I know we need to pull that word out of some of our regulations. You can turn somebody down because it's not harmonious, but it fitting within the character. Another one is I don't think it's going to affect us, but it limits the required parking for housing to 1 space for studios and 1-bedroom units, and 2 spaces in total for housing greater than 2 bedrooms. So if you had somebody building a 5-bedroom house, you can only require 2 spaces. We right now are asking for 2, minimum of 2. I don't think that's going to affect us. Another one that's going to affect us, not in terms of our regulations, but in just our process. No later than June 1st of 2022. So that's a year from now. And then again, every 5 years, every town needs to have an affordable housing plan that we submit to OPM every 5 years. That's in addition to covering housing on the POCD. And they're looking for something, and the regs haven't come out for what they're looking for, but my guess is it's not going to be a 1-page report or a plan. I think it's going to have to be fairly detailed. So one more thing to do. That's all I have on it. There's two other pending legislation that I think they may decide this week. Right now, the ability for the towns to have remote meetings ends on June 30th. And the governor has said he will not renew that, and that it was up to the legislature to enact it. It's one, I don't remember if it's the Senate or the House. One of them has accepted or voted on a plan and has passed it. The other has not, and they may take that up sometime this week. I don't know what it's going to say. The draft I saw was that they were allowing hybrid meetings. So some people could be in the town hall and others remotely. And the other one that they have not finalized is whether or not to legalize marijuana, and at what point and what level of authority do individual towns have for allowing it. And it may be considered retail. And if it is, if your zoning allows retail, then someone could open up a cannabis store. I don't know what the final report will look like.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions, comments, anybody? Why don't I move us forward then? I don't want to skip over if anyone wanted to say anything. Okay. Next up, communications and reports. With regard to the subcommittee, I'll have a discussion with Paula, and I'll propose that we meet at a certain time by contacting you directly. And Vera, if you can't participate, let me know and I'll reach out to the members that weren't here and get a substitute for you, okay?
Yeah,
Rick,
just gonna depend on the schedule, that's all.
Okay, Larry?
I'm sorry, I was experiencing technical difficulties and I lost my audio, so I didn't get to find out what the subcommittee was about.
Subdivision regulation subcommittee.
Okay.
And so
I'll
Vera
volunteer
jumped
for that if
in
you're looking for
is
another
tentative
volunteer.
about her ability. If you have interest, Vera, I'll have you work it out with Larry, whether you or he want to do it. And
Well, if she wants, she's first in. If you wanted,
Yeah.
if you wanted somebody else, I'll volunteer. Otherwise, I'll be glad to listen to you.
Okay.
When you do.
So Vera, if you can't, we'll go to Larry. Just let
That's
me know how you do with it. Okay,
Yep, that's
I'll
fine.
be in touch.
Okay.
Next up, communications and reports. I don't think there was anything, was there, that was in the packet?
No,
Okay. Anything commission open discussion? We are going to have an executive session where the public won't be part of that session, but we're not quite there yet. And any open items from the commission members? With regard to enforcement action, we won't talk about that in open discussion. Anything? Is there anything else that anyone would like to bring up to us from the public? I see several members attending. Any questions you have or points to make to us?
Ann does.
Ann,
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm
We can see you too.
I'm curious, did you do the sidewalk on the Hop River?
No, we're going to be doing that on
21st.
21st, Monday, the 21st at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Okay, good. So you have made no decisions yet?
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And because we're not in the public hearing mode, I don't want to get into any details.
Yep, that's
'Cause
fine.
we continued that public hearing to June 28th. So we have time after the public hearing, a week after after the site walk, excuse me, where we'll be doing that. And we
Yep.
won't be discussing the application whatsoever during the site walk. We'll just be looking at that as an informational session. We're going to refrain from making comments about it, other than asking questions that we might need answers to. So we don't want any public testimony outside of our public hearing. Okay,
Very good.
thank you. Thank you for your work on this, everybody. Anything else under audience of citizens?
No, thank you very much.
No, we appreciate the work you've done too, Ingrid and Joan. Thank you. That said, with
The
that, we're gonna
Caballas are still here.
Pardon me?
The Caballas are still here.
Yes, Mr. Kabala, anything that you wanted to bring up to us?
Oh,
Apparently not.
No.
okay.
Okay. Thank you for being here. So with that, we're going to end the meeting for the citizens because we have an executive session and then we'll adjourn shortly after that. I want to thank everyone for attending. And we are at a point where we have